Hex News. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing today? Me and Explosive Artist here. We got Jack Levin coming up here shortly. Great show today. Great show. We got an ex-Googler, right?
Yes.
A Google founder coming up.
Yes.
So
Exciting.
let's bring the man him up himself. How's it going, Jack?
Hey guys, hardly a Google founder, but definitely.
Well, hey, 21, dude. If I was the 21st HEXICAN, people would call me a Hex founder. You know, so
Right.
Yeah.
I see you as a Hex or a Google founder. Excuse me. If somebody that it was in the business, right?
In the game.
I mean, 1991, like people didn't even know what the internet was back then, and you were there at the.
Yeah,
I was
dude,
6 years old, bro.
Yeah, I thought the internet was for porn.
That was when it took 20 minutes to load one picture. Actually, it was probably way closer.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it was like the 30 minutes well spent, you know, waiting for the reward. Kind of reminds me of Hex.
Yeah. Waited on the Ethereum blockchain, waiting for that stake to come out.
It does remind me of Hex. I think that's why I was like, oh, this will be interesting to talk to this gentleman and hear what he has to say about some of these projects. And you know,
yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, it is great because I've listened to some of your stuff. You seem like you've got a crazy track record. Image Shack, which does Twitter still use Image Shack?
Twitter does not use Image Shack, but some people do post pictures from Image Shack to Twitter. So originally, Image Shack backend was used as the first backend for Twitter images. So before Twitter had the apps, we were partnering with all of the apps out there to include the API for image uploading.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So you were like one of the first people to bring images to Twitter. And what year was that? What year did you guys?
That was just a couple of years after Twitter launched. Wow. So Twitter launched as an API, and there was basically no apps that the Twitter owned. So it was an ecosystem that people were building stuff on. So it was really fun to build, a piece of infrastructure to run like first incursion into mobile. So that was the whole business model. The Image Shack was mostly for desktop users. Right. And when mobile started to take off, we thought Twitter would be the good partner and good platform to use.
Hey, so you have a lot of foresight into things that are going to be big. It seems like. So when
you've watched a long portion of the game and the big jumps that it, I'm sure obviously from 91 to now, it's just a whole different level, especially as far as images go and, how available they become to the public.
Yeah. Well, images were fun. I remember back in the university. So I believe it was 1993. So Mozilla came out. And I walked into a computer lab and I'm like watching somebody's using Mozilla and they're loading NASA pictures.
Right.
I'm like, what is that? This is amazing. Stuff's loading like on the screen where you used to see just, green letters on the dark screen. All of a sudden there's an interface. And I asked the guy, like, what is this? And he's like, well, this is what they call hypertext. And I thought, hypertext? Oh, that sounds sexy. I should get in one of hypertext.
and so you've been around and so if correct me if I'm wrong, but you got in because you found Hex through the mail that people have been sending out, and the mail got to you. You thought it was a scam at first, right? Like anybody would. I'm guessing.
Yeah. I still have it. It's literally like sitting somewhere on my desk under the papers.
That's awesome. Hey, Hex Monkey, thank you for the $50. Here's some lemons for you, Hex. So great to see Jack on stream today. Yeah, he's a cool dude. And I saw you're with Crypto Coffee. You've done TED Talks, correct?
I haven't done TED Talks.
No. Oh, okay. Maybe it was a different one. I didn't see the TED Talk. I didn't even click on it, but I saw somebody with your same name doing a TED Talk. So maybe there's somebody impostering you out there.
There is an older gentleman. He's a criminal psychologist from New York. So he could
okay. And so you've been
So did you research the scam? Because I get fascinated by scams and just the psychology behind it and what, different aspects and steps it takes to actually get people to fall for certain things. Was it kind of like that when you first got that in the mail? That HEX?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get scams in mail all the time, right? So that the color scheme and the APR or APY looked exactly like a scam.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, do you think it was crazy that it was a cryptocurrency? Because I've never gotten any other cryptocurrency mail.
No. I mean, like I figured we're definitely at the top of the bull market now that I get it in my snail mail.
Right. Yeah. This is it. This is what I should be selling. Yeah. You're right. Now, I mean, it is. It was. I mean, it's great that they're doing it, but it, like you. I mean, we wouldn't have never seen you if you wouldn't have gotten that mail. So it's getting out there, everybody. And people. I don't know if you've seen it, but people on Twitter will freak out. Well, they'll put the letter on the they'll post it and be like, I can't believe that these guys are scamming. Look, I'm getting it in the mail today. And it's like,
yeah,
look, we're getting it out there. We're getting the word out there. Unlike most of these other cryptos that just kind of sit there and they hope the price goes up and they're just not doing anything about it. They just want the price to go up.
Well, Hexologist got me in. So, but I will say that his first pitch to me on Hex sounded very scammy. And so
always goes out, right? Designed to go out. Right.
He really, I mean, I've never heard him talk about anything like Hex, so that's kind of what got me to actually buy it, I think, maybe.
Right.
But otherwise, it's like, really, it's gonna do what you think? Is this a, But I didn't have any other experience with any other crypto to compare it to, so it wasn't as hard.
Yeah, well, I think the turning point was really just turning on YouTube and checking it out and seeing Richard's interviews.
Right. And you probably thought Richard was a scammer at first. I think that's you're like.
No, actually, only when I had him on mute, he was definitely looking like a scam artist.
Right.
But then I figured, why would a scam artist look like a scam artist? Doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't the con artist and the scam artist kind of look like me?
Yes.
By
the way, dude, how do you look like you're like our age? Like, I don't know how old you are, but man, you've been in Bitcoin since 2011. I'm guessing like that, like I'd be bald. I'd be, like being in crypto I've been in since 2016, and I feel like I've gained like 20 years onto my life because it's so,
chart sucked it out of you.
Being there for 11 years, bro, you look really good for being in the crypto game for 11 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I only buy coins that go up, so I always
it keeps you young.
I'm never stressed out.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Dude. You're lucky on that. So I'm guessing that you're a Hex. You like Hex. You're enjoying Hex. You probably want it to go down further so you can buy a little bit more. Since you just found it, like what, the last 3 months?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months ago. Actually, I'm enjoying two things about it, maybe three, and one of them is the community and how much crap the community gets, and like how people just freak out when Richard comes online. Like I just an hour ago, I participated in spaces with someone,
right?
3,000 people, and you could see how people don't like him,
right?
But they're trying to come up with the reasons other than them not liking him. Like everything about Hex that might be wrong, they try to envision that it is wrong, but in reality, it's a personal dislike.
Because
what he does, he projects a personality that people are uncomfortable within themselves, and therefore
I call it Richard Hart derangement syndrome.
They're saying, look at this guy, right? He's so, I mean, he's in his Lambo, right, or whatever, right? He's so unlike us. We don't want to talk about it. We're scared.
Yes.
Right. And he's just flamboyantly presenting, shamelessly, right?
Right.
And it just irks people the wrong way. So, but they don't want to admit it, right? So they come up with all kinds of technical reasons why Hex is a Ponzi scheme.
So when you were going through the Bitcoin, your journey, did you ever become a maximalist? Because, there are those maximalists out there that think like Bitcoin's still the only thing. And that's a two-part question. Do you think Bitcoin's like, obviously you're not a Bitcoin maximalist, or you would have been here today. But
in 2011, when I started, so Bitcoin was about $3. And I think I actually sold the first local top to Richard at $30. So
30?
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
I did buy back, but going back to being a maximalist or whatnot. So, technically, before Ethereum, we didn't have that many shitcoins, right? But between 2011 and 2014, anything that was not Bitcoin was a shitcoin, right? So it was very easy to stay in Bitcoin and basically say it is what it is. It has what they call immaculate conception, where Satoshi released it, and we don't know who Satoshi is, and he could be dead.
That's so funny. Immaculate conception.
It's a virgin. It's a virgin.
Yeah. So
dude, it's so real too. I never thought of it like that.
And you cannot blame anybody. Like, nobody's like, yes, he has like 1 million Bitcoins, maybe. We don't know if he's going to dump on us at any point in the future, or maybe somebody will build a quantum computer and, guess his keys, right? We don't know that. But it looks good. I mean, compared to everything else that came after, it does look better. But again, the concept of maximalism wasn't really a thing. It really became a thing when other projects started to eclipse in terms of popularity. So all the people that held Bitcoin, they felt threatened that the value will go down and the market is being diluted by everyone else. So that's what gave the birth to maximalism. But I was never really the one. I tend to think of myself as an innovator, and I look for all things that are interesting and new. So it never really made sense for me to, become a maximalist and just continue to pump my own bag if I held Bitcoin. And by the way, I don't hold any Bitcoin right now. So.
Oh wow, okay. So you're just agnostic. You're blockchain agnostic. You're like ready for whatever is the best thing out there. You're
non-denominational.
Yeah.
That's right. Non-denominational.
You're not on the whole immaculate conception.
I'm in the church of decentralization. That's what I
okay. That makes sense.
And
Hexo and I talked about that.
Oh, go ahead.
We're like, sorry about that, Hexo. We talk about that where it's like, well, we're open to as many good ideas as possible from as many smart people as possible. But in the crypto game, it's really hard to beat Richard at this point. Yeah. And it's really hard to argue with the Hex track record, after the short amount of time. So
yeah, Richard's made it hard to like go to anybody else. I mean, there's people that were shilling me Celsius and the Lunas and Solanas, and really I never got into them because I heard Richard say, nah, they're not, they're garbage and they're gonna, and they're gonna fail. And I didn't even dabble into it. And then, a year later, here they are filing for bankruptcy. They shut off all the time. And so it's like, I'm glad I didn't dabble in them, but I mean, I don't want to be the maximalist either. I want to be the person that's like yourself, that kind of is agnostic, the things that are going to go, kind of look at it like that. But you must spend a lot of time researching a lot of different garbage, if you know what I mean. Like, is that true, or do you kind of just
not really. I mean, the thing is, so Richard is absolutely right when it comes to self-custody. That's like the number one filter that anybody would have. So if something is in your self-custody, then it is unlikely that somebody can steal your coins. So if you apply it to any, shitty projects that are out there, then you can basically say, okay, am I giving my keys to someone? Yes, I have to. Okay, I won't do it. So, and then 99% of all the scams are now not going to be on your radar anymore. So there's really no point. No point researching them, because that it's basically, anybody out there who are taking your coins or your stable coins and then leveraging them, that's like a call option on crypto, right? And crypto is like call option on stock market. And stock market is a call option on inflation.
Right.
So it's kind of like a a pyramid, and you will be participating in the scamiest, the most volatile, the most difficult to gain custody of, should they lose your coins, or should they decide to run away with them. So that's the way to think about it.
Yeah, it's I enjoy, like, I never thought about it until, because all my coins before I heard of Richard was on exchanges. I think that's how everybody kind of gets into crypto, especially back in 2016, 2017, that's when I first got in. It was like, you got in because you were a trader. Like, they taught you, oh, you can make thousands of dollars a day off of trading. And they still do it. I just am not well versed in the furus, the people talking about trading as much anymore. I don't subscribe to hardly any YouTubers anymore. Yeah, so and that's how I got in. But then I learned, like, because it took me 2 years to figure out, oh, you don't actually make any money and you ruin your, it took me 2 years to come out.
Could have been worse
at the end of it. Yeah, and I didn't even leverage. So
yeah. Well, they make it easy for you to on-ramp your fiat. Like, for example, you attach a bank and you can DCA into whatever's out there, right? Mm-hmm. And besides that, I mean, if you can on-ramp your fiat and then you send it out, like, for example, you can now do it with Ethereum on Robinhood. So Robinhood, you can get SHIB, you can get Doge, you can get Ether, you can get Bitcoin, and you can very, very quickly send your bank account's money into Robinhood, and then presumably use their wallet to send it out. I never really done it with Robinhood, but I hear it's possible. So that's one way that's actually not too bad. And I would say Robinhood,
you can send the coins out now. I thought that they
they introduced the wallet. So
okay. Huh. I didn't know that they created that, because I remember when they just had, I think, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin, and you could put it in there, but you couldn't send it out. But I think I have heard that they've updated that since, that you can send it out.
Yeah. Now. So I think for marketing, like Coinbase and Robinhood are doing a pretty good job in basically introducing the general population into what crypto is. But they're not really explaining what may happen. It's just another tradable asset that you may lose your money on. Right. So, but onboarding is definitely there.
Yeah, and I mean, so you kind of you've looked into the future in 91 and so on. I feel like you're somebody that's you're good at it. So what do you think the HEX community could do, or what should we be doing to really
paying attention
pump
to?
Paying attention to, or help us pump our bags, kind of thing. And because that's what I mean, we've got a lot of streamers out there. Yeah, we got a lot of streamers out there, but we're getting, we have attention, and Richard's getting us attention, but the price is still at 3.5 cents.
So I think one of the ideal things with HEX is that it's 94 or maybe 95% transparent on chain, so on chain transactions. So definitely educating people out there what is the difference between being on chain and off chain, and having self-custody. So it all comes down to telling people what I would call first principles of crypto, right? And first principles of crypto actually, or blockchain, I actually tweeted about it. I think what I said is, one is your keys, your money is essentially full control of your own assets, no matter where you go. So for example, you cross a border to a different country, you'll have to declare your crypto. The password is in your head, right? That's one. The second is transparency, right? So transparency of transactions out there. And the third is basically resistance to counterparty as a feature, as a service.
Yeah.
So if you take those three things and really distill and explain those things to people, then you can pretty much see right away that HEX, I believe, addresses all three very well. Yeah. The biggest problem I see today for people onboarding to HEX is that they need to understand how Uniswap works and how to install MetaMask, or a wallet of choice, right? So the centralized exchanges, they're definitely, by their marketing dollars, they're doing a better job in the sense of how many people they can onboard a month. But when it comes to using Uniswap, this is one of the things that regular folks won't necessarily be able to understand. right? And of course, self-custody is like a science in itself. Like, how do you not lose your 24 key set, right? And how
or saving them on a Google Cloud or a drive or something like that.
Or take it, exactly, iCloud or whatever, or use it as a password, somehow tweet about it.
Take a picture of it. Take a picture of it on your iPhone and thinking that that's the safest route.
Yeah. So when it comes to education, I would say, HEX community could definitely rally and maybe do weekly classes. Like, what does it mean? What does it do? Why is it beneficial? How to do it? How to do it safely? So that's one way to actually, amp the strength of the currency, of the cryptocurrency.
That's interesting. I agree. A lot of people don't know what the scams are that are kind of plaguing crypto in general before they even get into it. So,
yeah. So what did you like first? Did you like the Hex or did you like Richard? Or what was like your selling? What sold you? Like, you're like, I'm getting, or I don't know if you have any. I'm sure that you have Hex if you're here today, but I'm well, maybe you don't. You don't
or
have
at least
any.
Pulse, maybe.
Or Pulse. Yeah, I guess. Did you get did you fall in love with Richard? Did you like the coin? Did you like what the APY or something like that?
So I liked Richard a lot because I used to do quite a bit of investing in startups, and when I invest in startups, I generally invest in people, not the ideas necessarily, because ideas are subject to the market conditions and to changes. Like, anything may happen, and people may be able to pivot, right? And before Richard did or thought of Pulse, right, he thought of Hex, but it was around a singular person. So I feel like I understand his psychology and where he's coming from. And that basically underlined the project, which I believe to be genuine. There is an open question, and I have to say it because everybody's thinking about it. There's an open question about the original address, right?
Right.
Like, what's happening with that Hex? Who does it belong to?
Right.
So on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the argument that nobody would ever dump onto themselves is not really a valid argument, because anything may happen. Right. And I know Richard mentioned on his podcast that he doesn't do drugs, but at some point, somebody will, he may fall in love, again,
Never.
or maybe the first time, I don't know.
Right.
And do some psychedelics, and who the hell knows what will happen to those those major Hex holdings in those wallets.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, so about the
talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big factor within, I think in the community. I think it is trust, and everybody says, oh, you're supposed to be in this for trustless, and everybody should be everything should be trustless.
No expectations.
But I think that we all trust that Elon Musk going to do the thing best for his car company. He might not, he might go on Joe Rogan and smoke weed or something like that, and then tanks. But I don't know. I tend to agree with you. It is worrisome for newbies. I feel like that, that are coming into the space and they see an address that has 90%, 95% of the coins, and who knows if he's going to run off with it or just take off with it. But I mean, the liquidity pools, I mean, if he was to sell, how much is he going to get? Like $5 million. Like, like you said, he's going to sell off to himself. He could ruin the project, but he'd run off with $10 million at most or something like that in the liquidity pools. So I tend to be okay with it, but I see where people are coming from, where it's like they see a huge bag holder and they don't know what he's going to do with it. And it's like, yeah, okay.
Well, and I think just getting into Hex too, I think getting into any kind of idea, big idea, I try to poke holes in things also. So I think about that also. It's like, how likely are they to sell? Like, I wouldn't put it past everybody, but I also, after watching so much of Richard, really believe that he's in it to be the crypto dude, And so I think as far as money goes, I don't know. He doesn't seem like he wants much more than what he's already, you know what I mean? Everything all this extra is for a purpose. I don't know that he at least comes across, and I know that this is totally how he comes across. It could be an act, but he comes across as somebody that doesn't need a whole lot as far as materials go. It's more just a novelty. Oh, he has, presumably way more money than most of us could get through. So it's like, what now? What now? I'm sure, if I put myself in his shoes. But I do.
One of the ways that I could see that, at least at the time when I was watching the videos, that he was genuine, is that most of the time he spends great amount of energy explaining things to people that will not even understand what he's saying. Like they do not understand what he's saying. He knows that they don't understand what he's saying, but yet he spends the time and energy to explain those things, and not just necessarily about crypto, but like things about, for example, he loves talking about longevity. So a lot of his guests or his stream guests, they don't get him. But I actually spent maybe 5 or 6 years researching longevity. So everything he says is quite legit.
Yeah.
And yet people don't understand. So his counterpart would not actually get anything what he's all about. So I'm thinking, okay, if he was trying to be scammy or evasive or whatnot, he would not be spending so much energy on actually presenting facts to a person that he knows will not even be able to put those facts together in their brain.
I also think he genuinely cares about helping people on, multiple levels, where it's something they may pick up from his stream, or I think he's also very proud of the people that have been successful in Hex also, I think that's part of his ultimate motivation. I don't know. And I'm not Richard, but for Hexo and I, there's a certain number dollar-wise where we wouldn't know what to do with all of it.
Yeah.
The
pulse chain sacrifice.
You would start buying more work for yourself almost.
Right. You have $400 million in DAI just sitting in the pulse chain sacrifice.
If you don't know what to do with it, just DM me on Twitter. I'll tell you.
Exactly.
I'll help you out. I can help you out there. I mean, that's what I tend to go with. It's like he could sell all the Hex and get, a few million. Let's even say 20 million at the most. But he's got 400 million sitting in a pulse X sacrifice wallet of DAI. It's $400 million.
The address does.
The address does. Well, yeah, I think that it's him. And then he's got, 700 million or something crazy, a couple billion Hex in there. And it's like, I mean, I get it. I get where people are, afraid, but it's also like, I don't know. Don't put all of your money into it, I guess, if they're that
other founders sell, though. Other founders own the majority,
and it's all on chain.
Founders sell, and I don't know.
Well, speaking of people, so it's so funny that in crypto, people really want to make a lot of money, right? And this is the underlying reason for 99.9999% of people to be in crypto. The only pretty much person that I know who is probably genuinely is not there for the money is Vitalik, right? Because Vitalik, I mean, he's like a meta-human. I mean, he looks like one, he talks like one. He builds things that's impossible to imagine. I'm very proud of what he has done for the world. But the rest of us, we're like, okay, so we really want to make ton of money, but we're going to pretend that we're not there for the money, and we're there to build, like Cardano, like helping the smallest country in the world to become, to adapt crypto, or like Polkadots, this and that.
I think it's a bunch of not little things, but it's a bunch of separate issues like that create the whole image of best man in crypto. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that the more successful his projects are, the better, I think he believes in his projects more than,
so I feel like all the hate that Richard gets is that he makes people uncomfortable because he brings out this unconscious thing that people are trying to hide from the rest of the population, trying to basically say, look, I am a genuine person who is trying to help the world by building this complicated crypto blockchain that does X, Y, and Z, and goes through the whole alphabet. But in reality, they just want to make a ton of money, right? And then they don't want people to say that that is the case. So, and Richard basically says, okay, this is what HEX is about. It's meant to go up, right?
Right.
And here's
exactly.
the thing. When you what is a cryptocurrency that cannot go down? Do you guys know what it is? If I were to give you if I were to say I have cryptocurrency that cannot go down, what would that be?
I mean, it would sound like a scam.
Yeah,
it can't go down. Well, okay. Like,
okay.
I don't know what it would be. Like, let's see.
So I'm being purposely non-specific. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I'm gonna say next will convince you it's not a scam, and you will agree with me. So the cryptocurrency that cannot go down is worth 0.
Agreed.
So if I were to give you a bunch of coins that are not worth anything,
right,
you cannot lose.
Right. Exactly.
You cannot lose. And that was Bitcoin. Bitcoin in 2010, right? Bitcoin was worth nothing, and it was 0. But there simply weren't enough people to understand what it could be. But the truism exists. Anything that's worth 0 cannot go down. Now, as soon as it goes down to 10 cents, what is the difference between 0 and 10 cents?
Oh, infinite.
Yeah, exactly. Depends.
The difference between 0 and any number that's not 0 is infinity.
Right. Yeah.
And it only matters how many millions of coins you actually have in your wallet to make a difference for you. So when people are listening to Richard's saying designed to go up, what he's really saying, it's really, 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 really low. It's really gated. Not that many people know about it.
Right.
So by its own mechanics, it's meant to go up. Where if you were to buy Ethereum or you buy Bitcoin, you're almost guaranteed to go down in the bear market. So
what do you think is going to be the bigger play or the biggest when Pulse Chain come out? What Pulse Chain, Pulse X, Hex? I'm sure you've done your research on them. What do you think is going to be the biggest out of all 3?
Yeah. Do you have a personal favorite that you're willing to share?
That is a very difficult question. That's like you have to be a magician to
There's so many different possible scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, so I'm all for new blockchains out there and people having a choice.
Right.
So I think it was pretty smart to copy the Ethereum state and move the state over. So it's definitely makes people feel like they'll have the same type of assets on PulseX or on Pulse Chain.
Right.
But I think it all comes down to marketing, right? So without people using Pulse Chain, there will be no value, even if all my stuff is there. It's going to be the same as Magic, right? Polygon.
Right.
So I have all my stuff on Polygon technically. I can move it over. I just pay a little bit of gas. It's very, very slow and super annoying, but there's no market on Polygon for my coins, right? So that is the ultimate question. Like, what will happen? So I would say, if the community does a good job getting new people onboarded and the project is solid, then the success will be there.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
I feel like it's almost for ERC20 holders. I guess it depends on who's holding and how much, but it's almost like an offer too enticing not to check out at least. I feel like, you know what I mean? If they know that they're getting a copy, if I knew I was getting a copy, it would interest me at least enough to see what it's all about and do some research on it, you know? Oh, yeah. Hexo's gone. He told me that this might happen. His computer's been acting up, but he said he's just going to restart it and then should be back on.
Yeah. By the way, he has a great handle, Hexologist.
I know, right? It's there's lots of plays you can make on it and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
I remember when he first started doing Hexologist and he had the idea of, you know, the character kind of built over time. So it was like, got a little bit better jacket. Now he has the logo on it. And it's been really interesting to watch.
Yeah. As soon as I learned about him, I'm like, I should get on the stream with Hexologist.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah,
we like. He's he's kind of known for his previous streams where he's going to correct me, but I wanted to say he did about 1.5 years straight every day about Hex, even through all the dips, and it was all pre-big payday. And
sorry, guys.
My
computer rug pulled us.
We were talking about your origins as the hexologist, and and how you came about being the hexologist, and then
Well, I started streaming probably a year before Hex came out, but it was like 2 or 3 streams because there was a referral link for the first year of the adoption amplifier. And so for the first year, I don't know if you know anything about the adoption amplifier, Jack.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so there was a referral link, and I wanted to get some of that free Hex, like it's pretty much. So I started streaming, which is funny because I accidentally left a question mark out of the referral address. So anything that I actually got for the first like 5 to 10 days, which is the best days you could have gotten it, I didn't
floating around.
No, it's just it didn't go to nobody. It didn't go to anybody. So wrecked on that one. But so I don't know. I just been streaming. I saw that people weren't actually doing anything for the Hex community except for talking crap about it. It was me and Crypto Coffee that pretty much were the only ones streaming. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pump my own bags. I have to pump my own bags. So I streamed for the first 572 days straight, and every day.
I didn't want to guess the day number because I was like, he'll come back
and
he'll come strap my little legs if I get these rugs.
Well, for one of the days, my wife had our baby, and so I streamed from the hospital. I had 3 24-hour streams. It was quite
seriously.
I took it seriously for a while, and kind of fell off for a little while. But now I'm gonna do 555 straight for the next. And I've been on this for 11 days straight already. So.
Ooh.
But nice. It was just fun. I'm doing a little outreach marketing myself. I got Richard Hart back here because people freak out if they see his
Kim
face. My
Kim
Jong-un ode. Yeah. People just are upset. I don't know about his face, but they just want to punch you if you see
it. I think Richard should he should add some randomness to his message. Like, for example, I just heard him talking how much he hates NFTs.
Right.
He should release an NFT of himself.
Well, he says he's going to do that of that rock that he has, the diamond. He's going to do an NFT.
No, it should be himself, and he should call it fungible, like RHF or something.
Dude, yeah, he really yeah. And make it something outrageous, like $10 million to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be outrageous, you should sometimes play a game of a sort where say that, hey, all of the NFTs that are out there are actually scams, and here's mine that's not a scam, and actually sound like a scam, but not make it a scam.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, interesting. Right. That would be fun. I'm sure it would do well.
Yeah. So do you like any NFTs? Are you the NFT game, or you just kind of?
Yeah, because you're an image background, so it'd be interesting to hear your opinion.
So NFTs are not really images. NFTs are what I would call a human API into blockchain. That's how normies can understand blockchain without looking at numbers.
True. Yeah.
Interesting.
So because you can have products out there that have NFT serial numbers that are basically on blockchain, which has nothing to do with images, right? An image is just representation of what the location on the blockchain is, right? So it has nothing to do with that, right? But a lot of people they figure, okay, NFT must be a JPEG, but it's not. I mean, a lot of times NFTs can actually be used to gamify blockchain. Like, for example, level up and get more NFTs, and then fuse them together and get more NFTs that will mint some ERC20 tokens that you can trade, or maybe buy more NFTs with those tokens, or maybe stake them, that sort of thing. So
I think you mentioned that on Crypto Coffees, and it sounded like such a good idea where you get a small version and then you go up to level 2 and then you go up to level 10, and then it's a really good idea. I mean, a game within a game kind of thing.
I mean, we'll think about it. Back in the day, when I was younger, the video games were not video games; they were just text, right? So you just would play with text.
Right.
And I used to play this game like a multi-user dimension mud in the university. I would just telnet into port 23 in some sort of university IP address.
Right.
And you would just follow a story and like slay monsters and gain experience points.
I remember those, yeah.
So that was just like all just textual representation, right? And now the games are presented by the visual content. So the next version of like gamified online experience was Prodigy, right? So in Prodigy, that was like before America Online, 1991. You would dial in with your 1200, maybe 2400 baud modem, right? Things would barely move. And you would get like a monochrome representation of a three-dimensional room, like 320 by 200. Like that was like the size of the room, and you can like walk through that room. But it was really just a bunch of pixels trying to present a three-dimensional reality, right? And then
in ASCII.
I mean, well, ASCII was like one of the quick ways to show it, but the Prodigy had that visual engine that you could actually play games with other people by dialing in. And then Doom came out, and Doom from id Software or ID Software, different people say it in different ways. I remember somebody handed me a floppy with the Doom video game. I'm like, holy crap, this is something else entirely, right?
Right.
So it was also bitmaps, but they created an engine that could simulate bitmaps into a 3D world. It was just amazing, right? But I guess what I'm saying is that everything moved into visual representation. So at some point, NFTs likely going to be pieces of video as well, right? But ultimately, it doesn't matter what NFTs are represented by.
So you think that like Bitcoin and like the first are kind of like the very like the caveman version of blockchain, and then it's NFTs.
It's like the Model T.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. So like first it was Bitcoin. It was just like nothing but a number in your wallet, and you have your keys. Then it's the ERC20 token that can actually do things. So programmable money, that's great. So it has value. And then the next iteration, all right, how do we tie in and extend ERC20 token to ERC721 or 1155 and give it properties and features? And hey, it also looks like a monkey, right? But all it is just a record in the blockchain. But the normies or people out there who don't really understand the economics behind it, they're just trading monkeys, and they're thinking, oh, my monkey is like drunk, or this one is smoking, or whatever. It's this like one hogs. Is bored. This one is bored and has a yacht, whatnot, right? So people are building those stories in their minds to explain what blockchain really is, and trying to tie in the economic reality to a storyline that their brain can comprehend.
It's like preschool.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it.
Like shapes and colors. And
so most of the people don't even understand why crypto has any value. Like, do you guys know why crypto has value?
Because the market.
Because one person wants to buy. Because one person wants to buy somebody else's thing. They all it's a story. They all tell each other a story, but really, it's
well, I mean, the story
just like the stock market. It's kind of like if nobody believed in it, it would just.
The story is the glue. What stops you from having $1 million right now, right? What's stopping you is the bank. You can't just walk in and take it. So what also stopping you is your need to eat, right? I mean, it doesn't stop you. It stimulates your desire to have economic energy, right? And then you have to spend time and effort to work to actually have somebody else to pay you for something that you're producing useful for the planet, right? And I guess what I'm going with it is that right now, the reason why Bitcoin and crypto in general is so volatile is because the barrier to entry is still pretty high, So it makes the pressure of the economic energy to be much higher than anything out there, right? So the dollars themselves, they're kind of like, the paper money and whatnot. Even like your car is stabilized by its function and availability, right? But should you get into crypto, imagine having like a water pressure that's equal among all the faucets, but this one little faucet has the smallest diameter tube coming out of it, and that's crypto. So the pressure is the same, but the speed of the water that's like leaking and shooting out of it is very, very strong. So that's the crypto price. Basically, the harder it is to get crypto, the faster it can pump, just because everybody's trying to jam into the same room,
right?
And they're applying this pressure, this economic pressure to to get into it. That's why it has this value. And as Richard often says, crypto as an economic class, as an asset, has the best fundamentals at this point, right? Because of the barrier to entry. But as soon as the barrier disappears, and which may take like, I don't know, 30 years, maybe 40 years, maybe 50, who knows, then it becomes more of a, the same as fiat, I would say.
Right. It's a stock market. It's a new age stock market kind of thing where you're getting 2% gains a day, and people, or if you get 2%, it's like a crazy volatile
like for the year or something.
Yeah. But basically, you know how people say that crypto really is a commodity, not the security,
right?
So with the security, you're just buying the promise of somebody to work within their group or their company to produce value, and the value is represented by the security as a portion of a share of an effort that they would produce in the future. When it comes to a commodity, is how many people are using this commodity. Like, for example, silver, gold, and oil, right? If there was no demand for silver, gold, and oil in the world, then they wouldn't be costing anything. So crypto is more of a commodity. So the way that I see it is the commodity in the cryptographic sense will continuously gain value as it becomes more and more adapted and feature rich in the world, right? And that's why I think Ethereum, when it came out, the idea was ingenious. I actually tweeted the little chart, what the economic value of the crypto might be, and that's basically presented by a formula B minus A, which is the differential or delta between the world's GDP inflation and the crypto's inflation. So the crypto's inflation is hard coded in, you know what it is, but the world's inflation and GDPs of the world, they're always floating around. So the delta between the two is the value. And then the whole thing, this delta has to be multiplied by K. And K is the world's adoption, right? If one person understands this one crypto token, it doesn't mean it has value, right? Because there's no market. So K multiplied by the delta of B minus A is where the value is. So, and Ethereum is doing a really good job, or when they came up with it, I don't know where there was a foresight of that or not, but they basically assumed that if there is gas use and the gas gets burned and there's more and more applications on Ethereum, then the actual Ethereum inflation is reduced by the number of applications launched on Ethereum. Therefore, anybody who is investing in Ethereum, you are by definition investing in every blockchain app out there that's built on Ethereum, right? Which is ingenious.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like the so with Ethereum, do you think that the market not having a cap on how many Ethereum will be out there, do you find that disturbing? I guess, you know, Bitcoin. Yeah,
are you concerned?
Bitcoin likes to like talk about 21 million. Pulse chain has the, you know, it's deflationary, it's getting burned. But Ethereum, I mean, it could print forever. Is that any kind of like, will it stand out for a long time, do you think, or it'll keep going? I mean, it's going to keep going, but do you think it'll kind of everybody's
well, isn't it the same as HEX? So HEX has 3.69% inflation, which is the same as printing Ethereum.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's like the Bitcoiners thing where they attack the Ethereum because they're like, it doesn't even have a cap on their freaking tokens.
Well,
it's like,
that's actually, I would say, something that has a cap has somewhat of a problem for the future, because it gets way too it gets pumped very, very rapidly, and then it dumps, right? So a lot of people say that, listen, the reason why crypto is great is because we have inflation and we can actually protect ourselves against inflation. And by now, I think we know that it doesn't work.
Yeah, right? Look at the prices.
Now, the reason why it doesn't work is because inflation is the secondary effect of an easy monetary policy, right? So you don't just have inflation, right? First, you have the government or the governments of the world print the currencies, and the currencies stimulate the economies, right? And as the economies get stimulated, there's more money floating around because people are making more money. They can sell more cars, so on and so forth. Right. What happens next? Remember this faucet analogy we talked about? So this monetary pressure actually gets into pretty much every asset. So my Rolex watches, and I have a little bit of a collection, perhaps smaller than Richard's, but the watches also go up in price. Like, why is that? I mean, well, Rolexes specifically, there aren't that many out there, and there's a lot of demand, and people, when there's a lot of free money floating around, they try to put that money to work, right? So what happens with something that has a cap like Bitcoin, it gets pumped rapidly, but it doesn't actually stays at the value it belongs, because inflation by definition is extremely variable, and the economic conditions are going up and down in the world, right? So that actually makes the Bitcoin shoot up, overshoot, and then come crashing down, right? And so I would say inflation is actually not amazing for crypto at all, while the crypto is kind of gated. In other words, like, it doesn't have that much of a mass adoption, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there's no stability, so it doesn't necessarily like all those maxis that are screaming out about Bitcoin being better than Ethereum. I don't think they have a case. Now with Ethereum, they don't just decide to print a bunch of Ethereum, right? It's actually a formula, and it's connected to, I think, their London release that allows Ethereum to be burned based on the load of the network. And the load of the network comes up when more people build new things, build more tokens, and there's more use, right? So there's actually deflationary pressure on Ethereum, which is quite ingenious. So that's kind of like my three cents on the subject.
Okay. So do you think that where do you think the bottom is? The hex, the crypto bottom? Do you have any kind of what do you think?
Any calls? Any calls?
Any call? Yeah. People love it. People love those. Where do you see it going?
I made some calls on talking to Crypto Coffee, right? And I think at the time when we were having a conversation, HEX was at 7.5 cents. Okay. And I told him that I have a limit order at 1 cent.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I think 1 cent.
And he kind of like made big eyes, but since then it dropped to like close to 3, right? Like 3.3.
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah.
So now here's the thing. The thing is that no matter what anything is worth, right? You also need to consider the amount of time anything sits at that amount. Just because something is worth very, very, low number of dollars or cents, it doesn't actually necessarily mean that that's what the future value is. It just basically means that at this point, there are no buyers. That's what it means, right? So when pandemic came and oil became negative, right? There were no buyers of oil, and people needed to offload their contracts, and they needed to pay to offload them, right? Does it mean that the oil was worthless? No, it just means that the oil was worthless for the duration of that specific monthly contract, right? The second month contract in oil futures was actually worth like $25 or something like that. So my point is that we can sit here and make calls all day long, right? The only thing that matters to you personally is this. If you can buy it at 1 cent and sell it at 5, you win. That's the only thing that matters, right? But making a call that something will temporarily touch 1 cent or Bitcoin go down to $3,000 or $5,000, really only means like, what are you going to do with it? Do you have a limit order to buy it? Right there. And then to sell it 10% later or 50% later. So, but yeah, I think crypto never really been in the bear market where the Federal Reserve was tightening the money supply. This is the first time. So I would say if oil went down negative, anything can happen to crypto. I don't think crypto can go negative because it doesn't have that sort of economic reality, but it can go really, really, really low. And I have seen things go low. I've been through at least 3 or 4 economic cycles just like that. And things can go crazy low. And that would be the time to make your dollars, work.
Right.
So,
it's funny how people hate to hear that too.
No,
it goes against every,
Well, because the people probably bought the top or the middle or whatever, or anywhere where the price was above where it is now. So people it's painful.
They've been burned a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people got burned a lot. I mean, like, look at all those people who lost money on Luna, right?
Yeah.
Or on Celsius, or I mean, those guys are kind of ruined at this point. They can't even get their money.
Well, Celsius,
I mean, it's better that you have money than no money.
Celsius and 3AC and Voyager, they're like animals into themselves. That was not even the risk that was fair to people, right? That was broken promises and misleading people into things like, look, my thing is stable when it's not, right? So I would say it's much of a bigger issue in the world where like regular people are told that this is painted white, but in reality, even the owners don't know what color it is.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that is the worst.
Yeah.
So, but it all comes down to self-custody, right? If people would have been more educated, they would not have been, so sucked in into things like Celsius out there. Yeah. And you could see like, Mashinsky, talking about trying to explain how exactly is Celsius making 20%, how it's more efficient than the banks, and it's a new world, and this and that. And you can just tell that's such bullshit.
Right? I know. I hate that.
The thing is, here's the sad part. I think when he was saying that, he actually believed in it.
Right.
Right? Because
you everybody hope so,
else,
right?
Everybody else
you
told
hope
them
at least they're
thing.
just dumb. And not scheming and a liar.
Well, I mean, don't you think of it as, I don't know if you I mean, you were here for BitConnect, but if you I never got involved with it, but it sounds to me, and I never got involved with Celsius or BitConnect, but it sounds to me very much the same. But Celsius seemed to be like adopted by most of the, I guess kind of at BitConnect was too, by the big influencers. But now Celsius was like on everybody's streams, everybody was talking about it, and it seemed just like another BitConnect where you gave up your Bitcoin or you gave up your cryptos and then you got a USDC payout, right? That's how it pretty much fundamentally worked, correct? Like I said, I've never touched it, so
I haven't touched it either. What they were doing, they were basically saying, look, we have the best on-ramp for your fiat to make money in crypto. So they took on-ramp and then they leveraged it.
Right.
And I think if Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto just continued to go up, they would not have been in trouble. Right. And they were just onboarded,
kept it rolling.
Yeah. So I don't think they have premeditated to commit the crime. I don't think that was the case. I think by design it meant to fail. It meant to fail because they did not understand the economics behind crypto.
Right.
And that, as Richard often says, crypto meant to, or always goes down 85% or more.
Yeah. Yeah, they were ready for it.
What did they say? 11,000 and pray or something?
Yeah. And pray that it doesn't go down lower.
Yeah, I think
11 and pray.
Yeah, 11 and pray. I think it will go down much lower than that. But again, we just don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps FTX bank fried will just buy bank everything. He'll fry the rest of the banks, right?
Jeez, right? Well, that's what I think is so funny is like most of the Bitcoin I feel like is in bigger hands that are big, like, Three Arrows Capital held a lot, and a lot of these big names hold it, and they're not just regular people anymore. And it was supposed to be peer-to-peer cash. Big, I don't know if you cared about the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Cash split off, or if you had kind of like, I thought it would, because I was a Bitcoin guy back then too, and I was like, okay, Bitcoin, I'm gonna go with the Bitcoin guys selling my Bitcoin Cash. But Bitcoin Cash really has I feel like it kind of actually is doing what Bitcoin was supposed to do. It's supposed to be peer-to-peer cash, supposed to be fast, whatever. So I think Roger Ver actually had a good philosophy on it, but maybe just he did it wrong. I don't know, because it seems like all these other companies have gotten involved instead of actual people now.
Well, the markets are extremely inefficient. So, like, especially if you're involved with decentralized exchanges,
right?
They pump all kinds of shit coins all day long.
Yeah.
Like, they were literally pumping Luna and making games around Luna when Luna was like trading at 4 zeros and 1. Right?
Yeah.
Like, look, you can get a perpetual future to short Luna or go long 5x or 100x. I mean, depends whether you do a KYC or not. So that's kind of scammy, because Terra blockchain was actually offline.
Right.
So how they were trading Luna when Terra was actually offline? It doesn't make any sense to me. But actually it does. I mean, because they just gamify the hell out of it and they make money on people trading. So that's like totally the case. So that's why being on chain and being transparent, like HEX, is really amazing reality that we have today. So 95% transparent. You see all of the transactions.
Yeah.
The volume isn't really there, but it's more volume than like the rest of the coins. I think I just looked at SHIB, and SHIB, even though technically I think has the more wallets using it, it doesn't have that much volume on Uniswap, right? Where HEX actually has quite a bit more. But the thing is, like, one of the things that people do not understand, they think blockchain is decentralized, but it doesn't actually mean that the value is decentralized. So if somebody holding a giant bag, that means that the value of the coin is centralized. It's in somebody's hands, therefore it is centralized. So somewhere I read a paper that 10% of the top wallets hold like 70% of the value of Bitcoin or something like that. So how does it make Bitcoin decentralized money? It isn't, right? Because there's a lot of whales out there that are holding the value hostage. They can dump it anytime they want. And it doesn't take much to do that, actually. Just a few $1 billion and you can drop like 5%.
Yeah.
If not more. So I'm dreaming of the world where there would be something out there that's basically not only on chain, but also has the decentralized ownership as well. So kind of like the absence of mega whales.
Right. Yeah. So switching the subject, what do you think? So you started Google. Well, you were there at the first. What do you think of Google now? What do you think of that has like, that it's been built into? Do you think that the guys that founded it? Yeah. Do you think the guys that founded it would be the same guys that are still, that they'd have the same vision, or do you think it's kind of changed from?
Well, here's some fun facts. So I believe, and I actually know, that Larry and Sergey are the same guys that I met 20 years ago, for sure, right? Or 15 years ago. The funniest thing is that Google's motto was "Don't be evil," right? And the reason why we came up with that is because the Silicon Valley startup culture was basically just at its beginnings, and we wanted to build something for the world that's like super accessible, and the whole thing was like bring information to the people that could be useful, right? And as the company got bigger and bigger, the competitors around them were not necessarily not evil, right? So there were evil tactics being used all around Google to do all kinds of things, potentially. And what happened later is Google actually removed "Don't be evil" from all of their, I guess, internal literature.
Right.
And I don't think Larry and Sergey could handle it, so they actually quit and moved off. I think they're still on the board somewhere, but like obviously the first there was like the alphabet became not Google anymore, and Google now has its own CEO.
Yeah.
And then they eventually just stepped, further and further away, because I think mentally they felt like their baby is becoming, somewhat evil, but not necessarily evil intentionally, but more like when you're fighting naked and without weapons, it's kind of hard to not to lose the fight.
Right.
So that's kind of like the issue, I feel like.
100%.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. I mean, because like Hexo said, and I'm not very, I've never been technologically literate, especially compared to Hexo. And it looks like he has cut out again. But we'll wait till he comes back. But yeah, he has a much greater understanding. I was an art major years ago, so I have a different appreciation, even in the time, because it took me a while to get through school. Even just obtaining images for reference and things like that, and the different resources that have become available in searches and things like that, especially things that are artist specific as far as, who they market to. It's been kind of crazy to watch grow too.
Yeah. So speaking of Google, I feel like they really missed out on the crypto stuff. They could have done so many things in crypto.
I am shocked that they haven't gotten into it as much. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what extent they are involved, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I do know that they're involved in the quantum computing field, which is pretty fascinating. So maybe while we're napping, they're coming up with a quantum-based blockchain or something.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they're building like the super weapon.
Quantum-based blockchain that is ultimately, so like they would launch this quantum computer that basically solves everybody's keys and guesses everybody's passwords. Right?
Oh,
and then they would say, okay, we're not gonna do it if you just port everything to our quantum chain.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of power right there.
You're gonna pay Google tax for using it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm assuming he's going to come back on. I'm sure he's going to want to come on and at least sign us off.
Yeah.
Let me see here if he's trying to get a hold of me. No, I'm sure he's just restarting his computer. It's interesting this is happening to him because he's very into computers and building his own and picking this and that. And, I'm clueless when it comes to the technical aspects of that.
He's probably running some sort of experimenting operating system, right?
Right, exactly.
Or like he's on Chromium and not like regular Chrome.
I'm not sure. I remember watching him acting like I was helping him put it together when it all came in the mail.
We should ask him.
But really, I was just watching.
I bet he's using Brave browser. With the Brave browser, you can make basic attention tokens while you use it. So you actually getting rewarded for using Brave.
Interesting. Brave. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, Brave browser. I mean, you can watch porn and nobody will know that you're doing it.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. Well, he has some explaining to do when he gets back on here.
Yeah.
There he is.
Hey, Hexologist.
Quick question.
Let me make sure this is all.
Quick question, Hexo. Radio check. Nope.
Oops. Yeah.
Maybe he's redoing it. But yeah, we'll have to ask him. But I've seen the computer. It's very impressive. It's got fans everywhere. It lights up all crazy.
So it's like lights in a black case. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's a bunch of shoe boxes taped together with some.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
I don't know what's wrong with this freaking PC. I just built it, and I think the power supply is going out.
Well, Mr. Levin has a theory.
I think you're using an experimental browser. I think it might be Chromium or it may be Brave, so that you're minting.
I'm just using Chrome.
I was telling him about your hot rod of a computer.
You know, it must be all the lights. Must be all the lights that are running from your power supply, sucking all the power.
Maybe you might be right on that. That's a good idea. I should probably chill out on the lights over here.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. It's so funny. Last time I used the PC, I played that. I played the game like Command and Conquer or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I installed this like really massive video card that my power supply could not handle. So every time I would blow up a tank, my game and my computer would crash because the amount of pixels that the whole explosion would produce just like would draw so much power. It would literally starve the CPU for power, and the whole thing would crash. And I'm like, why is my computer blowing up every time I blow up a tank? And I'm like, oh, it's the new video card. It needs to have like 3 power cables go into it or something like that.
Yeah, I think that might be. I got a 3090, so it's pretty. It's the top end one, maybe just the power supply.
That's like what, ATX?
No, it's a NVIDIA 3090 GTX. Yeah. So it's pretty. I don't know what's the matter with it. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming, Jack. Dude, you're a freaking brilliant dude. We'd love to have you on again.
Really fun talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're I've had some really good guests. I've had Richard Hart and all. I've got
John McAfee.
John McAfee, and you're up there. You're up there with one of the best people that we've had.
Thank you. And I got the hoodie.
You got the
Hugo Boss, y'all.
You look like Assassin's Creed.
Character. I'm just trying to be like all Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah. Just like, hey, bro, get your coffee.
Open source Silicon Valley. You guys watch the show Silicon Valley?
Right. Yeah. No, sir. Yeah, I watched it.
Gavin Nelson.
Oh yeah.
Gavin Benson. Gavin Belson from Hooli. So Hooli is like great. Modeled after Google, by the way.
Yes, it's the Google, right?
Pretty sure. But it's amazing how good that show is, like literally just mapping like the whole Silicon Valley culture. It is incredible.
There's a guy that's like the Richard Hart on there.
Is there?
Yeah, he's got a throne and everything, and he talks about
a side. No financial advice.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make there, and he did it. He did like a shout out to Richard on one, like he did on Twitter. There's something out there.
Oh, dude, you should DM me the episode number. I want to see this now.
Yeah, I'll have to show it or DM it to you because
my favorite guy is that they hired as like an interim CEO for Hooli, and he kept telling everybody about the conjoined triangles of success. And there were like a picture of triangles, coming together. They're just so awesome. I think this is the only show like where I was like on my floor laughing and I could not breathe.
Well, it's like my wife
in a weird way.
Yeah, my wife watches it. And she's like, I don't get what they're even talking about. It's like, yeah, this is like a nerd show. You kind of have to probably be a little bit nerdy.
It is so funny, and it is great. Richard, Richard from the show.
Yeah.
Just ultimate nerd. Just like just crazy. They did such a good job.
They did. All right. Well, thank you, Jack, for coming on, dude. You're a great person, great guest, and I'd love to have you on again. Guys, go check him out. What is your Twitter handle? Is
Mr. Jack Levin at Mr. Jack Levin, and the website is imagechak.com. You can also go to jacklevin.com to see all of the new streams and new little blog posts and snippets that I post. Follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of economic, mumbo jumbo and garbage and whatever I think may be happening. So, give me love and likes and follow me. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jack, coming on.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one, sir.